Greetings, everyone. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Jonathan. Um, I'm a musician. I work at my church as a keyboardist, and I'm also a teacher, Sunday school teacher there. Um, One of the supervisors as well. Um, it's now 12:20 a.m. and I wanted to um, recount three dreams I've had. I've seen a lot of people on YouTube um, speaking about prophetic dreams as I go through my YouTube feed, and I I kind of felt like Luke 1:1. For as much as many have taken in hand to set forth in order a declaration of those things which are most surely believed among us, even as they delivered them unto us, which from the beginning were eyewitnesses and ministers of the word, it seemed good to me also. And that's what I'm saying right now. It seemed good to me also. I've seen, like I said, a lot of people putting forth prophetic dreams. Um, and I'm not here to comment on the the validity or the worth of the dreams. Um, again, I'm just recounting. I kind of feel in their footsteps as far as that, or in their place, that I'm doing the same thing. I do know that these dreams are true. There's many people I've told these dreams to. Um, these dreams have all happened um, years ago. The last one happening probably sometime in 2005 or 2006. And these three dreams will definitely always be with me. That's the one thing I know the difference between having a regular dream, whether, as some people say, oh, you ate something that day, or or had something, maybe the TV was on or something like that. These three dreams stand out of all the dreams I've ever had, and that's not an understatement. That's basically what it is. Um, I I want to start with acknowledging that I know that out of the many gifts that God gives people, you know, um, I know I have a gift of music, a gift of teaching, definitely. That He has also shown me these things in this dream, and He's given me a gift of dreams, night visions. Some people call them. Um, I know that that's what is part of my calling. And I just, like I said, I want to recount those dreams. I'm gonna do all three of them in one shot here in this video. They are prophetic in nature. They are apocalyptic. Um, I also have two dreams, so it's going to be five dreams in all. But I'm going to give you the three dreams, and I have two what I call like confirmation dreams. This was a way of God showing me that yes, I am showing you things in your dreams. I am showing you them, and just like these confirmation dreams came to pass, I'm showing you that I am teaching you and showing you things that will come to pass. Best way I can say it. Okay, so real quick, let me start with, they have heavy symbolism. You're gonna hear me recount a lot of eerie details. The first dream I had when I was about age 16 or 17, as best I can remember it. So I'm thinking it was the spring of '96, and I wasn't really in church. I I went to church, but I wasn't kind of in church like that. I've also played drums. I played musical instruments in church and played keyboard around then too. But I wasn't. My spirit wasn't in church. Let's put it that way. I was 16, and I was just being a teenager, and I had this with when I was over someone's house, and I was in the bed, and I fell asleep, and I remember that the first thing I remember seeing in the dream was a what I you know how there's a knowing in dreams. So in this dream, I was seeing the city or the you want to say the country, but it had to be Israel and it had to be Jerusalem, maybe particularly. Because in my dream, in my knowing, in my spirit, it was like the city of Israel, you know, or it could be any city of Israel. Like again, I'm just recounting how I felt it and what came into my spirit in the dream. And so in the dream, there was a city of Israel, and it was in ruins. I don't know if it was an attack. Wouldn't say nuclear per se or anything like that, but definitely like maybe bombed or war ravaged. Let's just say, everything was in ruins, and real quickly it was the it was as if somebody was rewinding a tape. Those from my generation with the VCR, you know how when things rewind, you see things start to move backwards and all that. It was as if somebody was rewinding a tape, and I started seeing the whole city come back together as it was whole. And I'm just like, and up until this point, you got to think in my life, up until this point, as far as my recollection and memory, I had never had anything like this. I'd never seen anything like this before. So I was really in this dream, like, what is going on here? What am I seeing? And immediately after that, the dreams shifted to where it was like I was in. Now I'm from Connecticut. Those of you that know Connecticut, there's a city called Bridgeport in Connecticut, and I'm from actually New Haven, Connecticut. But this was how I was seeing it, and then what was in my spirit was this was in Bridgeport. I was there. This part of the dream I was participating in, and we were kind of having I don't know, like service outside, church service outside. And it was actually the benediction that was going on. How do I know? We were singing a song for the benediction, God be with you, whatever. And so until we meet again. So we're singing this song, kind of like the last verse, until we meet. And I'm like, okay. And, we're clapping our hands. And all of a sudden, just as the service was ending, we're getting to that last word, if you want to say it. All of a sudden, it was like lights came on from the side, and there was a voice over like a loud, one of the, what do they call those? The loudspeakers, but not really loudspeakers. The, and so it was like military, and all you're hearing is, you're hearing, like a bullhorn. I'm sorry, a bullhorn, guys. So it was a bullhorn, and it was like, what you're doing is illegal. The activity that you're participating in is illegal. Okay, that's what I heard. And I'm like, illegal? Oh my gosh, what's going on? We all started scattering. And I remember we started running. And we're running. And I'm in the front. And as I'm running, I'm telling everybody behind me, I'm kind of still looking forward, but I'm saying, everybody, please just run. And we're running. And I'm noticing gates, GATES, gates coming down from out of the sky, and they're just chomping down, almost like, and I'm starting to see some of the saints, or I'm starting to feel, because I'm still running forward, some of the saints or some of the people behind me, falling behind these gates, kind of getting trapped behind these gates, and I'm just like, just run. And as this last gate is coming down, the scene quickly changes again. And now I'm in what looks like some type of supermarket area, and I'm going down the heads of the aisles. So I'm passing down the heads of the aisles, not really going down one particular aisle at this point in time. I'm just going down, down the main lane, down the heads of aisles where you can kind of look down each aisle. As I'm looking down each aisle, what I'm seeing is people who are picking up things. Some people are picking up things and looking at the prices, and they're saying, I can't afford this. I can see their mannerisms, and they're just, and some of them, they're just like weeping in a sense, like, I can't afford this, and I'm putting it back. Other aisles I'm going down, I'm seeing people just straight up taking things and sticking them in the pocket and running out the store, if you want to say that. So I'm just, again, I've never had a dream at this point, never had a dream like this before, and I am going through this dream, but I'm in shock as well at what I'm seeing. The next thing I see, as I get down to, like, I guess the edge, like the corner of the store, if you want to say it, where you can't go straight anymore, walking down the edge of the aisle. I noticed to my right, there's like a fish tank. I want to say a fish tank. It looks like a large, like the 20 gallons, 30, 40 gallon fish tank type deal. And there's water in it. And there's an old man that's sitting next to it. And he's like an old man and, hair, beard type deal. And he looks at me, and I'm looking at the tank, and the water's dirty, dirty, polluted water that's in this tank. And I don't really see anything at first swimming around in a tank. So I'm like, okay, what is this? He looks at me, and he goes, "Do you see what they're giving us to drink?" And I said, "What?" And then I take a closer look at the tank. And when I look at the water in the tank, remember, polluted, brown, blackish, whatever you want to say, I see a dead fish that's floating, not really floating, he's swimming. He's dead. You know how you see the traditional in cartoons, somebody, they take a fish, a whole fish, they put it in their mouth, they pull it out, and there's nothing but bone. I saw the bone swimming in the tank. And again, dreams have their own language. I'm interested for anybody to please comment if you recognize any of these symbols and dreams. In my dreams, please, I encourage you to comment below, and I will read the comments because I'm very interested in what people think about these dreams. They've been with me for God knows, almost 20 years, starting at the beginning, you want to say. So again, in this dream, this is dream one still. I get to that last part where I can't walk no more, and again, I just had this interaction with this tank, and I turn, and so now I'm facing what looks to me in the store, this warehouse, whatever, the last aisle, and I turn to look down that aisle, and I see a man down the other side of the aisle who looks directly at my eyes, looked directly at me. In my spirit, I don't know why, but in my spirit, my knowing was this was the Antichrist, that's what it is. There isn't no or anyway. This was the Antichrist, and I noticed that he had a rifle. You want to say in his arms, in his hands, and a gun. Definitely a weapon. It was not a pistol. It wasn't a small shooter. This was a rifle type gun. And he locked eyes with me, and then he turns to go out what I noticed is a back door of the warehouse where he's at, or the shopping center. So he goes out of this door. Now, I don't know why I decided in the dream to immediately run after him. As I go run after him, I get to the door as it swings closed, you would say, from him leaving. So he's already left, and I'm getting to the door, and I open the door. And as I open the door, this is the scene that I see, and I'm just about at the end of this dream here. This is the scene that I see. I'm standing out at you want to say, like, there's like wooden stairs, and I'm looking out the back of this warehouse, this shopping center, and it's the world, and it's all like the sky is the color of blood and fire. Blood and fire. That's the only way I can describe it. That's the color I see. I looked down to where this man was, and he has a number of youths. When I say youths, I mean these were black youths in particular. That's what I kind of noticed. Black youths. They were on their knees, execution style, you want to say. There he is with that gun. And just as I'm looking at the man that I assumed was the Antichrist, that I looked and I felt in my spirit he was the Antichrist, he starts to kill them one by one. I yell out, "No!" And I run down those stairs to try to stop whatever I'm seeing, the execution. When I get down there, that scene is gone. But there's still the blood and fire behind me. Let's just say that. The world is, it looks like, by the way, the world looks devastated. I mean, just, it was like that looked like the nuclear blast went off. That's what I want to say. But when I was looking at that scene, right, I'm down the stairs, and I'm still looking at the devastation of the world, and again, now the Antichrist and that whole execution scene was gone. That wasn't down there. I turn around, and this is the real big, heavy symbolism that I see in this dream. Okay, I turn around to where the back of me is now. That would be the shopping mart. That was still there, but what I'm seeing rather beyond the shopping cart is, I remember seeing some hands, pure white, okay, white like sheet of paper, white like snow, pure white hands coming up out of the earth. So you see the fingertips first, coming up out of the earth, coming up like this. Praying hands is what I described it when I've talked to people about this dream over the years. I've seen praying hands come up out of the earth, up until about, the wrist, right? They come up to about there. They're like this. And then they spread apart. And there's an arc of blood that goes from fingertip to fingertip. Okay? I've never forgotten this dream, and I've just recounted this dream exactly as it was shown me. That's why I could never forget this dream. 16 years old, I was like, wow, what did I just see? So, last thing about this dream, I wake up. Once I saw the praying hands and all this stuff, I wake up, and I remember, because as I'm coming out the dream, there was a trumpet sound. A loud trumpet sound. And I remember being scared, like, in my soul, forget my heart, past all that. I was down to the soul level, just frightened, shaken. And I remember waking up and looking at the world around me in the room I was in the actual reality now. And I'm looking, and I was just jumpy. And what followed me out of the dream and actually was in the real world that was going on in this area, there is this train. They tore up these tracks, so this doesn't happen anymore. But just in this area, there used to be a train that used to go through that area, not too far from the house that I was at. And their train whistle was going off just at the time I woke up. And that translated in my dream as a trumpet. That I do know as much. But it terrified me when I woke up, because I still heard that trumpet sound when I was in the dream. That's dream number one. Now, I would tell you one of the confirmation dreams that I had. So, why am I calling it a confirmation dream? Well, if you remember in Matthew, I believe it was Matthew 23, Jesus takes his disciples up to the Mount of Olives. This is after they were trying to show him the temple. Master, do you see the temple? You see all these nice, beautiful bricks here and all these things. And Jesus says, well, I'm going to let you know something about all this. There won't be any stone left on top of another. And, if you want to read the whole account, you can go in and read it, Matthew 23. So then they go to him on the Mount of Olives and ask him, when is these things going to be? So Jesus gives them a set of, we call it the Olivet Discourse, right? And he gives them a whole rundown, I want to say, of what's going to happen in the end times, right? In Revelations, in the end times. However, and this is where I'm going with the confirmation dreams, Jesus gave them a short term, right? Because we're talking about way into the future. When we talk about Revelations, right? Way past their time. Here it is 2,000 years, and okay? So, in order to give a confirmation to say, look, I know what I'm talking about, And matter of fact, I'll give you something now so you'll understand that I am, like Jesus said to them, um, he says to them, to his disciples rather, that when it comes to pass, remember I told you beforehand, right? So he gave them a short-term prophecy of the temple being destroyed, which is something that happened in most of the early disciples, the first disciples' lifetime. So they can see, okay, Jesus said this was going to happen. It happened, right? Temple was destroyed in 70 A.D. A lot of disciples were still alive when the temple was destroyed in 70 A.D. Yeah, some of them were. Let's just say were still alive when the temple was destroyed in 70 A.D. So again, a short-term prophecy to let them know that you can believe that. See, it happened. You saw it. So what the other things I've said are going to happen. So having said that, this is one of the short-term confirmation dreams I've had. So and all these dreams I'm recounting, I've told people about them. I've told people about them since, you want to say, the day after I've had these dreams. So, and I've been recounting them for a lot of people over the years. There are many witnesses that could confirm that I've at least witnessed to having in these dreams. I've told them about it. So the first confirmation dream that I want to give you is, so my mother is a pastor, and she begun a church, and she began that church, I think, in 96. And so they started branching out and they started reaching out in their ministries. They wanted to do this type of reach out in the ministry. So it was funny because I remember one night I had a dream, and in this dream I called my father. I was on the phone with my father, and I said, "Hey, Dad." He says, "Hey, how you doing, son?" "How you doing, John?" He usually said John. I said, "Where's Mom? I need to talk to her." He says, "She's upstairs getting ready for the radio broadcast." And in the dream, I understood that the radio broadcast was that the church, as I just said, were looking to do a lot of reach out ministries. So they had actually started doing radio ministry as far as in the dream at this time. Now, keep in mind, at this time, there was no radio ministry. There was no radio broadcast. They hadn't even done anything. Okay? This is what I saw in the dream first. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, okay. As far as back in the dream, having this conversation with Pop, I used to call him Pop, and I said, all right, Pop, all right, well, let her know that I need to talk to her about this, that, and the other. I'll call her back later. Blah blah blah. Hung up. Dream's over. So I remember immediately telling them, maybe the next day or at least that week, Pop, I said, Pop, Mom, I had a weird dream. I said, I call up Pop, and I recounted the dream. Basically, I'm not going to do it again, but I recounted the dream to them of what I saw. I want to say 6 months later, we'll even put it out at a year's time, as Jesus, that's a different study there, but as the Lord told Abraham and Sarah, I will come back at this time next year, according to the time of life, and you'll have a son, right? So let's say 6 months to a year. Literally, I called my father. This is in our world, our real time. I wasn't sleeping, in other words. I picked up the phone, and I forgot what I was calling my father about. But I called him, and I said, "Hey, Pop, where's Mom?" He said, now by this time, he says, she's upstairs getting ready for the radio broadcast. The same exact words. It was the same exact conversation. How do I know it was the same exact conversation? Because immediately, everybody knows the feeling of deja vu. I immediately got it, and I paused in the middle of me saying, okay. I said, Pop, this happened before. He's like, what? I said, remember, I had the dream about I said, this is exactly how it happened. This is exactly how it happened. So, again, that was a confirmation dream for me that God is showing me things in my dreams before they happen. Like Paul says, my consciousness is before God. God knows what I saw. God knows what he showed me. And he showed me that dream one I told you about, and this confirmation dream. I have one more confirmation dream, but I still have 2 dreams to tell you about. The other ones are a lot shorter. So I know I'm marking your time here. I really appreciate you guys listening. Again, I do want you guys to please, mark in the comments, please keep them, ginger, keep them good, but I do want your input on what symbolism you've seen. So the second dream was a weird dream as well. Like I said, short. I want to say in the city of Stamford. Stamford is another city here in Connecticut. And again, I don't know why the spirit puts me in locations and kind of gives me, this is where this is at, this is where you're at. But I guess that's just the orientation. I'm a very logical person, so I need to have, time, location, speed, width. I need all these different factors to kind of make myself feel in control, if you want to say it. Some people would probably analyze and say it, but I just like to know what's going on. I like to know repeats and times and things. So, and again, in the dream, I'm standing there and I'm with my uncle of mine on my father's side, Uncle Michael, and we're walking through this city, through the streets. It's nighttime. It's stars out type deal, and we're walking up the street in Stamford, and I remember all of a sudden, as we're approaching this kind of residential neighborhood looking area, there is a meteor. That's all I can say. A meteor that came from the sky, and it landed on this car, like boom. That's the alarm going off type deal. And I'm like, we were like, what is going on? We had just been talking. All of a sudden, this just disturbed our peace. A meteor just comes out of the sky. And I remember there was somebody who lived upstairs in one of these houses, right where the car was. So it was out in front of this person's house. He lived up on the 2nd or 3rd floor, it looked like it was. And in the dream, I knew he was a cop. Again, I don't know. He was a cop, and he's yelling, "Hey, who's making all that noise? What's going on? What happened to my car?" And we're like, tell him, "Sir, we didn't do anything. There was this rock that just fell from space that literally just kind of smashed his car. It wasn't to smithereens, but the hood was really dented in. It was wrecked in a sense." Then, as I look up in the sky, I noticed that there was moonlight. And there was the moon as well, big. But what I saw was candles, like candlesticks, with the flames on them. They were lit. They had fire on them. And I would say multiple candlesticks, but let's just say one. Just so I won't embellish. I'm not looking to embellish in any of these dreams. I'm just looking to tell you the details. So let's just say there was one. And I remember seeing it, and it was very windy and not stormy. There wasn't rain coming down, but it was very windy. And I remember seeing a lot of rocks floating around. It was like there was a lot of rocks and a candlesticks. And I remember that even though it was windy, I noticed that the flames did not blow out, right? And I'm like, and I remember the scripture that came to me in the dream, right? The scripture that came to me was Revelations 6:13. And it says, "And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. that's what I was looking, and I'm like, that's kind of the description that got into my spirit. And I, like I said, that's the gist of that dream. That's basically it. But I remember seeing this and just it. I woke up from this, and I remember by this time this was my second dream, and a number of years later, I would probably say estimate, let's say 4 years, maybe 3 or 4 years later, I had this dream, and I immediately said, okay, I got to write this down because this is crazy. I don't know why am I seeing this type of stuff? Why this scripture popped in my head? And again, like I said, that was the gist of that dream. So I'll move on to the second dream. Again, I want people to comment, let me know what you think about the symbolism in this dream so I can kind of chew on this back and forth. I do, however, look at the Bible, and I look for the Bible to interpret a lot of these symbols. Candlesticks and things like that. There are things that you can look at in the Bible, and the Bible has a better way of, because the Bible says that the spirit of man is the candle of God. So, since these things were being impressed in my spirit, I know that God's word is a better key for determining a lot of these symbols. And since I feel it came from God, I'll move on to I'll do the second confirmation dream. Here you go. So the second confirmation dream was something very quick but very strange event. So I had gotten married. I was married before, and me and my ex-wife and my daughter at that time had went to a relative of hers house. So we parked in the parking lot. I was driving. We parked in the parking lot. Again, I'm awake. This is real. This is not the dream. So we parked in the parking lot. I parked the car in the parking lot. Her, my ex-wife, and my daughter get out the car, go into the relative's house. I knew they were going to be in there for a while, so I kind of got relaxed. You let the seat back. I let the seat back, and I fell asleep. While I was asleep, this is exactly what happened. A car drove up, parked next to me in the lot. Again, I'm asleep now. For those I want you to pay attention here. I'm sleeping. A car drove up next to me, parked next to me, and it's my ex-mother-in-law, my ex-wife's mother. She gets out the car, and this is the conversation she says to me. Hey, John, where is, and she mentioned her daughter's name. I'm not looking to put everybody else out here on YouTube, so that's why I'm not mentioning any names, other than my own. So she asked where her daughter was. And I said, oh, she's upstairs, in the house. She says, okay, because I want to give her something. I have something for her, and I want to give it to her. And I said, okay, yeah, she's upstairs. And that was the dream. You ready? So I woke up from that dream. Okay, that was the dream. I woke up from that dream. As I'm waking up, a car pulls next to me. Somebody gets out. It's my mother. It's my ex-mother-in-law. It's her, the same one. She goes over to the car. She sees me. She says, "Hey, John, where's my daughter?" She had the same exact conversation that I just had. I must have had the look on my face of confusion, utter confusion, because there was that deja vu feeling again. And she's looking at me. She's like, "What's wrong?" I'm saying, and I'm stuttering in a sense, and I'm not really a stutterer. I'm stuttering like, this just happened. And she's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "I just saw you pull up," and I explained to her what just happened in my dream, and how she just basically fulfilled what I saw in my dream. So again, and that was basically the gist of that. She did have something for her daughter as well. She did mention, well, I got something for her. So, again, these were confirmation dreams that I am seeing things before they happen. And I don't claim this as any ability of my own. This is from God. And this is why I take stock in these dreams I'm having, or I've had, these 3 dreams that I'm capitalizing on now and trying to tell you guys what's going on as far as that, and I'm kind of trying to preserve them for posterity. I don't know where any of these could bless anybody later on, but it seems like YouTube is a good place to make sure that they're kind of there, and somebody goes through them and sees it, and maybe there's something in there for them. So again, here it goes. So here's the dream 3. This one was severely scary. It starts out with me, and I'm in a library type place. I know it was like a library. It was as if I was on a field trip. I remember thinking I was on a field trip. Now, I'm a grown man, okay? At this point, this was 2004-ish, 2005. I was probably 30. I was probably 2. Give me a second here, doing the math. I was probably in my late 20s. Let's put it that way. How's that? I was in my late 20s. Mid to late 20s. And so I was not in school. That's my point. But I was in this dream, and I was on a field trip. What looked like a field trip, what felt like a field trip. And we were in this library type or archive type place. I would say library because that's what was impressed in my spirit. And in the library, I remember there were these large windows, like the arc type windows, like you see at churches in a sense, but not stained glass. Just, I believe I'm conveying it right, where you guys can kind of get the sense of what I'm talking about. Multiple of those, huge, large, going across this wall where we're at. And there was like a guy that he was talking and all this stuff. And I remember looking out the windows. Now, I'll just pause for one quick second. And as far as symbolism, I've known that windows usually represent a revelation or a opening to something to see, right? That's what you use them for, to either look in or look out. That's basically what you're looking at as far as the window. So I remember looking out this window, one of these particular windows, and I can tell nobody. I don't know why I was able to feel. It's my dream, but I was able to feel the mood or the emotions around me of my classmates or whatever. I'm looking out this window, and I'm seeing off in the distance. I'm a sky in normal life. I'm a sky watcher in a sense. I love astronomy, and I love looking at the face of the sky as far as trying to look for what's going on with the weather. Nothing UFO-ish or anything like that. I'm just saying I like to be observant about the sky and all that. So in this dream, I'm looking out this window, and I'm looking at the sky, and I'm noticing that there's no clouds in the sky. Okay, it's blue. It's a nice day outside. I look up at the sky, and there was a small hint. I would say a pinprick, right, of something in the distance in the sky. And I'm looking like, what is that? Because everything else in the sky is just blue, clear. Again, no clouds. But I do see something like, to me, from my distance, looks like a pinprick. And I'm like, what is that? And I noticed that this dot starts to grow larger and larger and larger and larger and ever, until I see that it's crimson. It's a crimson dot in a sense, but it's growing. It's growing. It's growing. It's growing. It's growing. It starts to look like a crimson cloud. It's getting bigger and bigger. All of a sudden, as it gets to, I don't know, the size of a normal cloud that you see in the sky, but pretty big. All crimson, all blood colored. is what I mean when I'm saying crimson, scarlet, whatever way you want to describe it. All of a sudden, out of the cloud, there was an and explosion of light, and it's Christ. It's the return of Christ. He's on a white horse. There's others following him as far as a white horse. It starts to, and I remember. Let me back up for a second. As this dot was growing, right, all of a sudden I could feel the people behind me start to say, because remember, I was the only one looking up at the sky, and I noticed this dot first in my dream. All of a sudden I started noticing that the people behind me kind of gathering behind me, and they're like, as well, what is that? What is that? When it did the explosion of light, and here comes Jesus on the white horse coming out. I remember the feeling behind me was, oh my God, this is real. It was as if it was almost as if they were unbelievers, and this was something like way out of the. Because if you're a believer, this is why I'm saying this. If you're a believer, you're supposed to be expecting this to happen. It's not. You could be taken by surprise, like, oh, Jesus, you chose the day to come back, but it's something that you're looking forward to, and you can move from I'm surprised to take me with you, right? These people were nowhere near take me with you. They were just, I remember it being like oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed for myself. I'm totally in shock. That's all. Now, I didn't look at their faces, but I could feel this emotion coming from the whole crowd behind me. And as Christ was coming closer and closer to our position, he transitioned through the window. Don't ask me how. That's just how that happened. He transitioned through the window, and he began to ride around the room. I know how this sounds, but I'm just recounting the dream as it was. He began to not ride as in on the floor, but this was all in the air as far as and people begin to get lifted with him, in a sense. Some. I remember feeling the lift in the air, and that was that dream. That was pretty much the end of the dream. I remember waking up, and I was attending church around this time, and I was just pretty floored. I immediately started writing what I had seen. So that's it, everybody. That was the dreams I had. Again, there was a lot of heavy symbolism. There was a lot of things there, and I've been mulling them over in my mind since I've had them. That last one, like I said, that was probably 2006, 2005, somewhere in there when I had that. I know it was sometime around the time of my son being born, which was 2004. So it was sometime around there, sometimes after that. Please, I'm looking for anybody to just give me what you might have on the dream. Again, be nice in the comments. Just, like I said, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for listening. Everybody, I just pray that we all continue, body of Christ, continue to pray God's will. Please remember that no matter what, we must all continue to pray God's will be done. Okay? All right. Thank you for listening. God bless you.